What if the Iron Throne's epic battles were just the beginning? Welcome to the world of House of the Dragon Season 3.
Hey, I'm Garrett, feeling super excited to dive into today's epic topic.
And I'm Leah, equally thrilled to explore this fantasy spectacle. Welcome to Laid Back Learning with Leah and Garrett.
All right, let's set the stage for this one. We're zeroing in on House of the Dragon, Season 3, the 8-episode chapter that premiered in June 2026.
Totally. We're talking the continuation of the Targaryen Civil War, drawn from George R. Martin's Fire and Blood, which is his history book about House Targaryen. Dragons, power plays, and family fallout, that's the energy here. Here's something to get us started. Growing up, I was captivated by dragons and those sweeping medieval tales. So, House of the Dragon is kind of a dream mashup for me. And, Fire and Blood being the source makes it extra fun. It's like reading the official history and then seeing how it comes alive on screen with all the messy loyalties and honestly, those heartbreaking choices that war forces on people.
Let me paint the picture for you. House of the Dragon is a prequel to Game of Thrones, set generations earlier. The big event is the Dance of the Dragons, which is a Targaryen civil war over who gets the Iron Throne. Quick definitions as we go. The Iron Throne is the symbolic and actual seat of power in Westeros, the continent where all this takes place. The fight is between two factions, the Greens, who back Aegon Targaryen, and the Blacks, who back Rhaenyra Targaryen. Each side has a council. The Green Council rallies behind Aegon II and his mother Alicent Hightower, while the Black Council organizes around Rhaenyra and her husband, Daemon Targaryen. Okay, so here's where we start the deeper dive. HBO actually ordered Season 3 in June 2024, 3 days before Season 2 premiered. That's a huge confidence move. Early renewals like that lock in stages, keep the writer's room humming, and secure visual effects vendors. VFX, by the way, just means visual effects, the digital wizardry that makes dragons and battles look real.
And even earlier than that, in December 2023, George R. R. Martin wrote on his blog that scripts for Seasons 3 and 4 were being worked on. Martin, who authored Fire and Blood, laying that groundwork early meant the production could plan big, complicated sequences with fewer surprises. When you're dealing with dragons and armies, early planning isn't a luxury. It's essential.
Here's a thought I've been turning over. They stuck to 8 episodes for Season 3, same as Season 2. Why 8 and not, say, 10? Because 8 lets them keep the narrative tight during the craziest part of the war and funnel money and time into huge set pieces. Set pieces are those big, carefully choreographed sequences, like major battles or sieges, that require tons of planning. Fewer episodes can mean each one feels denser and more polished.
Why do fewer episodes help the pacing, though? Wouldn't more time give more story room?
Totally fair question. The trade-off is that a shorter run reduces filler and keeps the political maneuvering brisk. It also aligns cleanly with the already ordered Season 4, so they can pace climactic events across 2 seasons without padding. Basically, 8 episodes force the show to make strong choices each week and invest in the biggest swings.
All right, let's roll on to production. Filming for Season 3 began in March 2025 at Leavesden Studios in Watford. Leavesden is a major UK studio complex that can handle multiple stages at once. That's clutch for a show with dragons, because you can run parallel units and control lighting and weather on indoor sets. Shooting ran through October 2025, which built in a healthy post-production window for VFX, scoring, and the final polish ahead of the June 2026 premiere.
And the cast canvas is wide. Returning leads include Emma Darcy as Rhaenyra Targaryen, Matt Smith as Daemon Targaryen, Olivia Cooke as Alicent Hightower, Tom Glyn Carney as Aegon II Targaryen, and Ewan Mitchell as Aemon Targaryen. Jefferson Hall plays both Jason and Tywin Lannister, twin brothers on different power tracks, which is a rare dual role in a big ensemble. That choice underlines how one family can affect both battlefield politics and the realm's finances.
New and notable faces deepen the map. In January 2025, James Norton joined as Ormond Hightower, a Hightower lord aligned with the Greens. That signals Old Town's growing influence and Green military organization. Tommy Flanagan appears as Roderick Dustin and Dan Fogler as Torrin Manderley, both tied to Northern allegiances. Amanda Collin portrays Jane Eyre from the Vale, while Annie Shapiro is Alisanne Blackwood of the Riverlands. Tom Cullen shows up as Luther Largent, associated with King's Landing security, Joplin Sibtain as John Roxton, and Barry Sloane as Adrian Redfort from the Vale. Each of these adds a lever of power or a new front in the war.
And we've got fresh players who hint at massive turns. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth is Daeron Targaryen, another Targaryen prince. Gail Rankin plays Alice Rivers, a mystic figure with influence in the Green's orbit. Kieran Bew is Hugh Hammer, and Tom Bennett is Ulf White, both tied to new Dragon Rider dynamics. Abubakar Salim and Clinton Liberty appear as Alan and Adam of Hull, characters whose paths connect ships, loyalties, and dragons. That's pretty cool, right? You can feel the show expanding across the realm, not just sticking to the capital.
The world building reaches beyond nobles, too. We see clerics and small folk threaded into the tapestry. Simon Chandler appears as High Septon Eustace, the leader of the faith at the time, which brings matters of religion and legitimacy into play. Patrice Nyambana is credited as a Dragon Keeper Elder, essentially a senior caretaker tied to dragons and their safety. And you even have imposters popping up, like a false Daeron Targaryen played by Charlie Gordon and a false Aerion Baratheon played by Will Stevens. That underscores how rumor and propaganda work in Civil War, weaponizing confusion.
Alongside imposters, uncredited appearances add to the intrigue. Rhys Ifans shows up as Otto Hightower, Alicent's father and a seasoned power broker, but without formal credit, which keeps certain plot beats under wraps. Miriam Lucia appears as Lady Fell, also uncredited. Little surprises like that keep the court politics feeling slippery. Turning to reception, critics were upbeat. Rotten Tomatoes tallied a 91% approval rating based on 129 reviews, with an average score of 7.65 out of 10. The official consensus called it a reinvigorated and riveting third season with wicked new characters and more thrilling battles. Over on Metacritic, it scored 75 out of 100 from 27 critics. That's a weighted average, meaning bigger or more influential outlets can have more impact on the final number.
Then comes the launch. Season 3 premiered in June 2026 and drew about 21.5 million viewers across linear and streaming worldwide. Linear just means scheduled TV channels, while streaming is on-demand apps. That big number ties back to HBO's global distribution model, specifically in the UK, Ireland, Italy, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. It's on Sky Atlantic and Now. In Canada, it's on Crave and HBO. Australia streams on Binge and Foxtel. New Zealand airs it via Sky's Soho channel and Neon. India gets it on Geo Hotstar. And in the Philippines, it's carried by Sky. That near-simultaneous rollout reduces spoilers and, honestly, helps curb piracy too. Appointment viewing meets flexible streaming. Best of both worlds.
And the runway extends. HBO ordered Season 4 in November 2025, months before Season 3 aired. That early greenlight let the writers structure Season 3's momentum without forcing a hard stop. Plus, wrapping principal photography in October 2025 gave the team serious time for post-production before that June premiere. Timing, planning, and clear sign-offs at the top really paid off.
Let's get to the heart of it with a question that fans debate. How faithful is Season 3's adaptation to Fire and Blood? The book is written like a historical chronicle, which means the show has to choose an angle when it dramatizes events. People talk about reordering certain beats for TV pacing, merging or streamlining engagements, and adjusting which commanders get the spotlight.
I'm down for some creative liberties. Fire and Blood reads like a Meister's history, not a moment-to-moment thriller. When you adapt that, you've got to pick a heartbeat. If the show reorders a skirmish or condenses a council debate so character arcs feel sharper, I think that serves the medium. With Ryan Condal steering as sole showrunner, there's a consistent logic to those choices. 8 episodes means they need momentum. I'm good with smart trimming if the spirit of the conflict stays true.
Real talk. I lean towards staying close to the text. Authenticity builds trust, especially with something as beloved as a Targaryen family history. If the sequence of events shifts too much, motives can blur. Why did that house switch sides here instead of there? That said, I get that television requires rhythm. Here's my why. Why not keep the order, but compress scenes rather than moving them around?
That's a solid point. I think it's partly about clarity and partly about production realities. If two events happen far apart in the book, but thematically mirror each other, the show might pair them in the same episode for impact. Also, resources matter. You can't stage every engagement at full scale, so you pick the ones that best express the stakes. As long as Rhaenyra and Aegon II's core conflict holds and the greens and blacks feel distinct, I think viewers stay anchored.
Totally get that. I just want the history's texture preserved, especially where houses like the Blackwoods, Arryns, and Manderleys carry deep weight. Still, Season 3's critical response suggests that the balance of spectacle and clarity worked for most people. So maybe the rule of thumb is keep the essence and be transparent in how the show composes the mosaic.
And in pop culture terms, the buzz labeled Season 3 a punchy prequel entry. Critics highlighted those wicked new characters and thrilling battles. That lines up with the 8-episode design we talked about. It hits hard, moves fast, and still makes room for the political chess.
Okay, let's move on to a what if. What if HBO hadn't renewed Season 3 before Season 2 premiered? If that June 2024 renewal hadn't happened, I could see the writing schedule shrinking. In TV, a compressed timeline can ripple into everything. You lose stage holds, vendor availability, and the luxury to storyboard big sequences. The scope might have narrowed, or the pacing might have felt choppier.
Yeah, that checks out. Without the early greenlight, you risk scrambling VFX pipelines. Vendors book out months in advance. Maybe they would have had to pare down set pieces or lean more on bottle episodes. Bottle episodes are contained stories in fewer locations to save time and money. I could also imagine less geographic expansion, fewer new houses introduced, and a tighter camera on the courts instead of the wider realm.
And narratively, fewer certainties could push the writers to wrap arcs faster, which can flatten character growth. Or, on the flip side, delays might have made Season 3 arrive later than June 2026, risking momentum. Either way, that early commitment clearly helped Season 3 feel cohesive and fully resourced. What a twist that a single decision on timing can shape the vibe of an entire season.
Stay curious and keep exploring epic tales.
Thanks for joining us on this dragon-filled journey. Until next time on Laid Back Learning.